Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update that brings some surprising movement in sentiment. Firstly, the weekly Roy Morgan poll shows ALP primary support virtually unchanged at 27%, level with One Nation also on 27%. That's up 1.5%. And both are well ahead of the LNP coalition. They're down 3% to only 20%. The Liberals 17.5% and Nationals 2.5%. Support for the Greens was unchanged on 13.5%, and independents and other parties increased 2% to 12.5%. The gap between One Nation, 27%, and the LNP coalition, 20%, has now widened to 7 percentage points, the largest gap in favour of One Nation ever recorded by the Roy Morgan poll. The ALP has extended its two-party preferred lead over the coalition. The ALP up 2.5% to 55.5%, ahead of the coalition on 44.5%. That's based on how electors said they would vote. If the federal two-party preferred contest is between ALP and One Nation, the Morgan poll estimate is ALP 53.5%, ahead of One Nation 46.5%, unchanged from a week ago. Either way, if a federal election were held now, the ALP would be returned to government, according to interviewing conducted from May 25 to 31, with a representative Australia-wide cross-section of 1,542 electors. Roy Morgan government confidence increased 4.5 points to 69.5, still around 30 points below the neutral level of 100. Only 28% of electors believe the country is going in the right direction. That's up 2.5%. And a clear but reduced majority of 58.5% say the country's going in the wrong direction, down 2%. This week, ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence increased 2.7 points to 68.8. Still low, but the highest since early March, before the last two interest rate increases. So consumer confidence has now been below the level of 70 for 12 weeks and averaged only 65.2 over this period. The driver of the weekly increase was less concern about personal finances and less concern about the performance of the Australian economy over the next year. Now, in good news, ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations dropped 0.2% to 5.9%, the lowest rate since early March. This means Australians expect annual inflation of 5.9% in each of the next 2 years. Now, that drop in inflation expectations came before today's announcement that the Fair Work Commission has awarded a minimum wage increase of 4.75% to 2.8 million minimum wage workers across the economy. That's a relief to the workers, but a significant cost to many businesses. Today, Roy Morgan released the latest quarterly survey results on Australia's most trusted and distrusted brands for the year to March 2026. For a 10th straight quarter, Bunnings is Australia's most trusted brand. Bunnings is followed by Aldi, Kmart, the Commonwealth Bank, Apple, and Big W in the top 6 places, all unchanged. The improvers in the latest quarter were Myer, up 1 spot to 7th, Samsung, up 1 place to 11th, NAB, up 1 place to 16th, Officeworks, up 2 spots to 18th, and Chemist Warehouse entered the top 20 most trusted brands. And for the first time since late 2024, Optus has returned to the unwanted position of the most distrusted brand in Australia, following the fatal 000 outage. In second place is Facebook or Meta, and Temu is in third. Some of the large sliders in the latest results were tech and AI-focused companies, including Google, deteriorating 2 places to the 15th most distrusted brand, and OpenAI, or ChatGPT, entered the top 20 most distrusted brands. For more detail on the key changes in Australia's most trusted and distrusted brands, watch the latest in-depth webinar on the results. And talking about AI, new research from Roy Morgan shows 13.6 million Australians, that's 58% of people aged 14 plus, are now using artificial intelligence tools in an average 4-week period. Easily the most widely used is OpenAI's ChatGPT, used by 10.5 million Australians, or 45% of the population. More than twice as popular as the next most used AI tool, Google Gemini. So Google Gemini is in second position, used by 5 million Australians, and closely followed by Microsoft Copilot, used by 4 million. For more information on Australians' use of AI, head over to the Roy Morgan website. And finally, we look at the political situation in New Zealand, where there's an election in just a few months. The National-led government now has a decisive 10% lead over the Labor-led parliamentary opposition. Support for the National-led government is 51.5%, up 4%, well ahead of the Labor-led parliamentary opposition on 41.5%, down 6.5% on a month ago. This is the largest lead for the government for over 18 months since late 2024. Comparing the two sides of politics, the National-led government is made up of National on 30.5% and up 5% on a month ago, NZ First on 11% and ACT on 10%. Clearly, the rise in support for National has given the government the edge. Support for the Labor-led parliamentary opposition includes Labor on 26.5%, down 7.5% on a month ago, the Greens on 12.5%, and the Maori Party on 2.5%. Of the parties outside Parliament, the centrist Opportunity Party has increased its support to 6%. That's a record high for the party. The survey result for May would lead to the National-led government winning 63 seats, the Labor-led parliamentary opposition winning 50 seats, and the Opportunity Party winning 7 seats and entering Parliament for the first time. Looking forward, I'll be back next week to bring you the latest data on consumer confidence, inflation expectations, and voting intention. Thanks for listening. See you next time.